All right, welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Joined once again by LeVar Arrington and TJ Houshmandzadeh. Let's return to Cleveland, where the ugliness of last night's brawl has resulted in multiple suspensions and both the Steelers and the Browns being fined. Pittsburgh and Cleveland play in the AFC North, which is legendary for its tough play and worshipped by fans for that exact same reason. But last night, it went way too far, and the NFL appropriately here, in my view, fined both organizations because they're trying to tamp down on the ugliness of the AFC North. It's a poisonous culture. TJ, a longtime member of the AFC North, do you think the culture of the AFC North played a role in last night?
I actually do. It's that division, especially when you get to November, December, and it sucks that I say this, it's only really when you play the Steelers, man. The way they are, they've always been the best in the division. And so when you play Pittsburgh, you're a little more amped up. Defense, at least for me, offense going against their defense, and that's what they were known for. And for us playing them in Cincinnati, I was like the only guy on offense that would really go back at their defensive players. And so for me, it's one of those games that when you play Pittsburgh, Marvin Lewis used to always say, this is a 2 chin strap game. You get that Wednesday morning meeting, this is a 2 chin strap game. Buckle your chin straps up. This is going to be a physical game. So you hear it all week. Even the coaches, we would play the Steelers, and it used to piss me off. They used to act like it was a Super Bowl. Okay, we playing Pittsburgh. We all got to be dialed in. Hey, we just played the Redskins last week. We ain't got to be dialed in for that one?
No.
And so they come into that Wednesday morning meeting with more emphasis when you play the Steelers. And everybody that's been in these games, they know that. And so 100%, the culture, it's a physical division, but it's because you're playing the Steelers.
I lived in that culture because I grew up in Pittsburgh, and the mentality of that AFC North is how football is played and taught. It certainly is the culture. It's about being hard-nosed, lunch pail, hard hat type of guys. And you know, I looked at the Baltimore Ravens as being a mirror image of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I look at the Cincinnati Bengals that TJ and those guys were on as close to being mirror images. And you're talking about having guys like Takeo Spikes on the linebacking core, and, you know, you had Wally Rayner, and then you got the great Ray Lewis, and, you know, Potsy and all those guys, the linebackers, the defenses, the secondaries. It's so much defense that there, I mean, I didn't do the numbers. I'm thinking about it now, but if we ran the numbers on the Hall of Famers from the defensive side of the ball from the AFC North, I'm sure it would be staggering. It's just a bloodbath. It's a bloodbath division, and it's a division that, as a former pro, a lot of us envy the AFC North. We look at the North and we're like, man, like, I wish I could play in that division because of how hard they play each other. And I likened it to the Big Ten. So I definitely think the altercation had something to do with how hard-nosed the AFC North division's reputation and culture is.
See, I think the AFC North has been good, but it's gone too far. I think that the 2000 Baltimore Ravens and Ray Lewis, that defense, I used to call the perfect storm defense, I think it changed the AFC North. Everybody had to react to Ray Lewis and what they had over in Baltimore. And if Marvin Lewis was the defensive coordinator of the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, and then he ends up being the Bengals head coach because the Bengals are trying to compete with the Baltimore Ravens. Mm-hmm. And so I look, and then, you know, Mike Tomlin comes into that division. He's kind of a defensive guy. And the culture in reaction to Ray Lewis, and Baltimore and what Ray Lewis did, I don't think any part of it was over the top. It was just like they put together something special, and then the whole division went in on defense and went in on physicality. And the next thing you know, it just escalated to this point where, particularly between the Bengals and the Steelers, it got out of hand. What I loved about what TJ said, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic or argumentative, but what TJ talked about what coaches do Steelers week, that's why I'm saying I can blame Freddie Kitchens. He's new to the division as a head coach. He goes into Steelers week, and I guarantee you, he had some version of it's a two-chin strap game. And his players, Myles Garrett, who's been dirty all year, interpreted his two-chin strap, whatever it was, and some of these other guys, to me, interpreted it as, we need to go a little over the top or push the envelope, push the edge. And we know that coaches, particularly old school coaches, used to be like, we'll deal with the penalties. I'll pay the fine. We'll pay the fines. We'll do what it. If you get over that edge, we'll take care of you and we'll have your back.
You would be in meetings and the coach would literally be like, man, this is effing Pittsburgh week. I don't care about the fine. We'll pay them. Like, they'll come in meetings like that. And so when they come in there like that, you like, all right. And so if you're not giving it to them in practice what they want, they are on your tail. Like, this is Pittsburgh week. And so you start to feel that anxiety that they're giving to you. And so that's how you react.
And that mentality was created before the 2000 Ravens. It certainly came from the Steel City. I mean, that mentality of hard-nosed.
You think I'm talking about Chuck Noll?
Well, no.
Greg Lloyd.
Well, yeah. Bill Cowher, maybe. But, I mean, I grew up. But that was a different NFL. And the
how would they show Bill Cowher chin just looking all mean and
snot coming
all
out
the
his
time?
nose, and you loved it. You know, and it's interesting because in those days, in the 2000, a lot of the things that are acceptable back then are not acceptable now. I mean, is Ray Lewis even the guy? Do we love him as much now if he was playing now as we did back then? Because you can't, it's hard to get away. It's not even hard to get away. You can't play that style of football in today's NFL.
That's why Myles Garrett instigated the whole thing. Coming up, we'll give you our latest approval ratings for Myles Garrett. And Uncle Jimmy would tell us if Garrett's actions last night to help us talk about our approval rating for Myles Garrett. But first, who's the big dummy of the day?
Big dummy of the day go to the person who asked Colin Kaepernick, are you going to wear afros or cornrows? You know what, the dreadlocks don't slow him down, huh, LaVarrington?
Sorry. All right. Yeah, wind resistance.
Let's return to the biggest story of the day. Myles Garrett, the former first-round pick, or the former first pick in the draft, was suspended indefinitely for whacking Mason Rudolph in the head with his helmet. LeVar, do you think this will follow Garrett for the rest of his career?
I don't think it'll define him, but it certainly will be on his timeline of most notable happenings in his career.
Yeah, I think it, without question. Look, it happened to, in basketball, Ron Artest meta world peace. You can't write his obituary. You can't write a story without mentioning that's going to happen to Myles Garrett. Yeah. Hopefully he ascends to a better place. But hey, Uncle Jimmy, you're suited and booted, and you got your conch going. What's going on?
Well, first of all, I would like to proffer myself up as legal representation for Brother Myles Garrett.
Brother Myles.
Oh, go ahead. What?
Okay.
You going to defend Myles Garrett?
Well, if you just listen, I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah.
Once again, my brothers, we done find ourselves in a double montage.
A double?
A double montage.
Yeah.
And all across the airways today, Brother Myles Garrett done just been villainized.
Oh, wow.
And for what?
Vilified?
The boy's been villainized just for protecting his family jewels. Protecting his family honor. And who amongst us, my brothers, wouldn't do the same?
Preach.
Let me ask you a question.
What?
Did a white man not kick Myles Garrett in his regentrification area?
Oh, no.
Let me ask you.
No, he didn't.
Wait a minute. Did a white man not attempt to remove his protectional head device?
He did tug at his helmet.
From around his elbow area.
He did tug at his helmet.
He tugged at his helmet.
Look here, my sister Josina, she said it so relatively. She said Mason Rudolph must have said something magnanimous.
No, he's
magnanimous.
Egregious.
Yeah. Brother Primetime, Brother Dion agreed with me. What did he say?
Yeah.
He said football is a physical and an emotional game. But what did he say? Brother Rudolph is not without fault. Rumor is he uttered that unspeakable phrase from up under the pile. And y'all know what he said.
Oh, no.
Boy, no.
He said, yo mama.
Oh, that'll always do it.
Yo mama joke.
That will always
And see,
do it.
this is where the miscarriage of justice prevails. Look, Myles Garrett was just simply trying to remove the head restraint so he could hear Mr. Randolph more clearly. And he was asking to reiterate his previous statement.
What did he say about his
but
mom?
go ahead. Yeah.
And listen, and I would like to say, furthermore, he was not trying to strike the aforementioned white man. He was trying to return the protective head device to the rightful owner.
On his head. Wow.
And I would like to say that in this day and time would be the American thing to do.
Yeah.
Bottom line, case closed, okay? Look here, this is a football game. You go whistle to whistle, keep your head on the swivel. Whistle to whistle, head on the swivel. Truth is, if the helmet didn't fit,
Then you got to quit.
then when it comes to Myles Garrett, you must have quit. That's one thing's for certain and two things for sure. Myles Garrett, come see me if you want
You
to look.
sound just like LeVar in the A block.
Stop that.
I don't know if that's good for you, LeVar.
Stop.
Oh, wow.
Smart
Look,
man.
LeVar did all that defending of Myles Garrett, and then you got him at a dumpster fire just like me.
Well,
Who'd you think you were grading? Mason Rudolph?
truth is truth.
All right, I got him at an 18. That's a record low for
they
me.
hating on you, LeVar.
0 job performance,
They
4 all-time greatest, 12 character, 2 authenticity. That story about the fan punching him in the face, I ain't buying that.
You ain't buying it?
Dumpster fire.
Well, I got dumpster fire too. Job